The signal came through at 3 in the morning, ship time. It was weak and broken, cutting in and out like a dying heartbeat. But the message was clear enough to make every person on the bridge stop what they were doing. SOS Research Station. Under attack, please, anyone. Captain stood from his command chair. He was a tall man with tired eyes and gray hair at his temples. 20 years in the human defense fleet had taught him many things. The most important lesson was simple. When someone calls for help, you answer. He said to his communications officer, "Clean up that signal. I want to know exactly what we are dealing with." Lieutenant worked fast. Her fingers moved across her console like water flowing over rocks. She was young, only 26, but she was the best communications officer had ever served with. In less than a minute, she had the signal cleaned and playing through the bridge speakers. The voice that came through was filled with fear. It belonged to a woman, and she was crying as she spoke. "This is Doctor of Research Station. We are under attack by unknown hostile forces. They came from nowhere. They are killing everyone. We have locked ourselves in the lower levels, but they are breaking through. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help. There are 43 of us left, 43 out of 200. Please, please help us." The message repeated. Then it repeated again. It was set on a loop, which meant the survivors were still alive, or at least they had been alive when they recorded it. Felt his heart grow heavy. Research Station was a science outpost on the edge of known space. It was far from any military base, far from any help. The people there were scientists, not soldiers. They studied stars and planets. They were not prepared for war. Navigation said, "How far are we from station?" His navigation officer, a serious man named, checked his screens. 6 hours at maximum speed, Captain." 6 hours. A lot could happen in 6 hours. A lot of people could die in 6 hours. "Set course," ordered, "maximum speed." "Captain," this came from his first officer, Commander Bora. She was a woman with sharp eyes and a sharper mind. "We should discuss this first." "What is there to discuss?" "We are one ship," Bora said. She kept her voice low so only could hear. "One destroyer. We do not know what attacked that station. We do not know how many enemies there are. We could be flying into a trap." Understood her concern. Bora was not a coward. She was careful. It was her job to think about the risks, to make sure did not lead their crew into death. He respected her for it. "You are right," he said. "We do not know what we are facing, but those people are dying, Bora. They sent out a call for help. If we do not answer, who will?" Bora was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. "I understand, Captain, but we should not go alone." She was right about that too. One ship might not be enough. But who else was out there? This sector of space was empty. No military fleets, no patrol ships, just the endless darkness between stars. Said, "Send out a wideband signal. Let everyone know what is happening at station. Maybe someone else will hear. Maybe someone else will come." "Yes, Captain." Began working on the message. Returned to his chair. The Iron Will was not a large ship. It was a destroyer built for speed and firepower. It had a crew of 120 people. Good people. Brave people. They had signed up to protect others, and that was exactly what they were going to do. The ship jumped to faster-than-light speed. The stars outside the windows stretched into long lines of light. Then everything went dark, and they were traveling through the space between spaces. Used the time to learn everything he could about station. He read the reports. He studied the maps. He looked at the faces of the people who worked there. Scientists, researchers, families, children. Yes, there were children on that station. 12 of them. The sons and daughters of the researchers who lived there. Felt his jaw tighten. He had a daughter himself. She was safe on Earth, living with her mother. But the thought of children in danger made his blood burn. "Captain," his voice broke through his thoughts. "We are receiving a response to our signal." "From who?" "Multiple ships, they are, sir." The bridge went quiet. Every person stopped what they were doing. Even Bora looked surprised. The word was not an insult, it was a title, a description. Were species that came from planets so dangerous that simply surviving there was an achievement. High gravity, extreme temperatures, poisonous air, deadly predators. These planets created strong creatures, tough creatures, creatures that were very, very hard to kill. Humans were. Earth was a world of earthquakes, storms, volcanoes, and countless animals that could kill you. Humans had evolved to survive all of it. They were stronger than they looked, tougher than anyone expected, and they never, ever gave up. But humans were not the only in the galaxy. There were others, and apparently some of them had heard the call for help. "Put them through," said. The main screen flickered. A face appeared. It was not human. It was covered in dark fur, with golden eyes and teeth that looked like knives. The creature looked like a wolf that had learned to walk on two legs and build spaceships. "Human ship," the creature said. Its voice was deep and rough. "I am commander of the heavy cruiser Fang. We have received your message about the attack on station." "Stood up, Commander. I am captain of the human warship Iron Will. We are on our way to help the survivors." "As are we," showed his teeth. It might have been a smile. "We have 3 ships, the Fang, the Claw, and the Fury. We will reach the station in 5 hours. 3 ships, 3 warships, plus the Iron Will. That was 4 ships total. It was still not a fleet, but it was better than going alone." "Do you know what attacked the station?" asked. His golden eyes grew dark. "We have heard rumors. There is a species in this sector that has been growing bolder. They call themselves they are hunters. They attack weak targets and take everything of value, ships, stations, people. People. For slaves, for food, for sport." His voice was filled with disgust. "They are cowards. They only attack those who cannot fight back. They run from any real battle." Felt his hands form fists. Slavers. The worst kind of enemy. People who saw other living beings as things to be used and thrown away. "Then they have made a mistake," said. "They attacked a station full of innocents. Now they will face." Made a sound that might have been a laugh. "I like you, human. You understand. This is not just about saving those people, though that is reason enough. This is about sending a message. The need to learn that there are places they cannot go, people they cannot touch. If they attack the weak, the strong will come for them." "Agreed," said. "We will meet you at station." "We will be there." His image disappeared. Turned to look at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting. He could see the fear in some of their eyes, but he could also see something else. Determination, anger, the desire to do what was right. "You heard the message," said. "There are 43 people trapped on that station. Scientists, civilians, children. They called for help. They called and we answered. Now we are going to save them." He paused, letting his words sink in. "I will not lie to you. This will be dangerous. We do not know how many there are. We do not know what weapons they have. Some of us might not come back, but I believe in this crew. I believe in this ship. And I believe that what we are doing is right. When you joined the fleet, you made a promise. You promised to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Today, we keep that promise." The crew responded with a cheer. It was not loud or wild. It was quiet and fierce. The sound of people who were ready to fight, ready to die, ready to do whatever it took. Bora moved to stand beside. "That was a good speech," she said quietly. "It was not a speech," replied. "It was the truth." The Iron Will continued through the darkness, racing toward danger. Behind them, 3 more ships were doing the same. 4 warships, 4 crews, hundreds of, all of them moving toward one small station on the edge of known space. They had made a mistake. They thought station was an easy target. They thought no one would come to help. They thought they could kill and steal and disappear into the darkness. They were wrong. They were coming, and when went to war, the galaxy learned to be afraid. Sat in his chair and watched the darkness pass by. In a few hours they would arrive. In a few hours, the battle would begin. He did not know how it would end. He did not know if he would survive. But he knew one thing for certain. He would save those people. He would save those children, or he would die trying. That was what did. That was what humans did. They fought for each other. They fought for strangers. They fought for people they had never met and would never see again. Because in the end, that was what made them strong. Not their bodies, not their weapons, their hearts. Their stubborn, unbreakable hearts. The iron will flew on through the night, carrying its crew toward destiny. Behind it, the Fang, the Claw, and the Fury followed. 4 ships, 1 mission. Save the survivors, destroy the enemy, send a message to the galaxy. Protect their own. The 4 ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the same time. They appeared in normal space like predators emerging from the shadows. The Iron Will, the Fang, the Claw, the Fury, 4 warships from 4 different worlds, united by a single purpose. Captain looked at thee and felt his stomach drop. Station floated in the darkness ahead. It was damaged, badly damaged. Large holes had been torn in its outer walls. Fires burned in several sections, the flames dying as they consumed the last of the oxygen. Debris floated around the station like a cloud of death. But the station was not the worst part. The worst part was what surrounded it. Ships, dozens of ships. They were ugly things built without any care for beauty or elegance. They looked like they had been made from scrap metal and hatred. Each one was covered in spikes and weapons. And in the center of the fleet, there was one ship that was larger than all the others combined. The mothership. It was massive, as big as a small moon. Its surface was covered in hangar bays, and smaller ships were flying in and out of it like insects around a hive. That is, a lot of enemies, Boris said quietly. Nodded, he had expected a raiding party, maybe 10 or 15 ships. Not this. Not an entire fleet, not a mothership. The communications panel beeped, answered it, and Commander's face appeared on the screen. The commander looked at the same thing was looking at. His golden eyes burned with anger. They brought their whole clan, growled. This is not a raid. This is a harvest. They plan to take everything and everyone on that station. How many do you think are in that fleet? Asked. Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands. Each of those small ships carries 20 to 30 warriors. The mothership could hold thousands more. Did the math in his head, 4 ships against dozens, a few hundred against thousands of. The numbers were not good. They were not good at all. We should retreat, Boris said. Call for more ships, come back with a real fleet. By then, everyone on that station will be dead or taken, replied. We do not have time. Then what do we do? Was quiet for a moment. He stared at the mothership. He stared at the station. He thought about the 43 people trapped inside, the children, the scientists. They were counting on someone to save them. They had sent out their call and these 4 ships had answered. We fight, said. Made a sound of approval. The human speaks wisdom. We do not run from battle. We run toward it. But how do we win? This came from another screen. A new face appeared. She was not human and not. She had pale blue skin, 4 arms and eyes that were completely black. Her name was Myra and she was the captain of the Fury. There are too many of them for a straight fight, Myra continued. We need a plan, a strategy. A 4th face appeared. This one was from the Claw. The captain was a creature that looked like a mix between a bear and a crocodile. His name was, and when he spoke, his voice sounded like rocks being crushed together. The mothership said, kill the queen and the hive falls apart. Nodded, he is right. They are organized around their mothership. Their leaders are on it. Their communications run through it. If we destroy it, the rest of the fleet will scatter. But how do we destroy something that big? Myra asked. It would take hours of sustained fire to bring down its shields. We do not have hours. Studied the mothership. It was huge, powerful, covered in weapons and armor. A direct assault would fail. They needed something else, something unexpected. Then he saw it. The hangar bays. Ships were flying in and out of them constantly. The shields had gaps, small gaps that opened every time a ship passed through. "I have an idea," said, "but you are not going to like it." He explained his plan. When he finished, there was silence, long, heavy silence. "You are insane," Myra said finally. "He is replied with what might have been admiration. "Of course he is insane." Let out a rumbling laugh. "I like this plan. It is stupid and dangerous and will probably kill us all, but if it works... If it works, we save those people and destroy an entire clan." Finished. "Those are odds I can accept." The four captains looked at each other across the void of space. They were different species, different cultures, different worlds, but in this moment they were the same. They had come to fight, and they would rather die than abandon those who needed them. "Agreed," said. "Agreed," Myra said. "Agreed," said. Turned to his crew. "You heard the plan, battle stations. This is going to be rough." The iron will came alive with activity. Crew members ran to their positions. Weapons powered up. Shields came online. In the engine room, the reactor burned hotter than it had ever burned before. Bora stood beside. "You really think this will work?" "I think we have to try." "That is not the same thing." Looked at his first officer. "Bora, when I was a young officer, my first captain told me something. He said that bravery is not the absence of fear. Bravery is being afraid and doing the right thing anyway. I am afraid right now. But those people on that station are more afraid than I am, and they are counting on us." Bora was quiet for a moment, then she nodded. "Then let us go save them." The four ships began to move. They spread out, approaching the fleet from different angles. They noticed them immediately. Warnings and threats filled the communication channels. The alien language was harsh and ugly, full of clicks and hisses. Translated: "They are telling us to leave. They say this is their hunt. They say if we do not go, they will kill us." "Send them a response," said. "What should I say?" Thought for a moment. Then he smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Tell them this: you have attacked the innocent. You have made slaves of the helpless. Today that ends. Today they have come. Today you face justice. If you want to live, run. If you stay, we will destroy you. This is your only warning." Sent the message. The response came quickly. More threats, more promises of death. They were not going to back down. They had never faced before. They did not understand what was coming for them. They would learn. The fleet began to move. Ships turned toward the four warships. Weapons powered up. Thousands of warriors prepared for battle. "All ships," said over the command channel. "Begin Phase 1. Draw their attention, make them chase you. Do not let them focus on the station." The Fang, the Claw, and the Fury accelerated. They flew toward the outer edges of the fleet, firing as they went. Missiles streaked through space. Energy beams cut through the darkness. Explosions bloomed like flowers of fire. They responded. Dozens of ships broke away from the main fleet to chase the attackers. The three ships were faster and more agile. They danced through the enemy fire, hitting ship after ship while dodging most of the attacks. "They took the bait," Bora reported. "Half the fleet is now chasing our allies." "Good, begin Phase 2. The Iron Will moved toward the mothership. It was not trying to hide. It was doing the opposite. It was flying straight at the massive ship, weapons blazing. The on the mothership saw them coming. More ships launched from the hangar bays. They flew to intercept the human warship. But the Iron Will was fast, and its crew was very, very good. "Shields holding," the tactical officer reported. "Keep firing," ordered. "Target their weapons, blind them." The Iron Will's guns spoke. Rail guns sent metal slugs at incredible speeds. Missiles carried warheads that could crack planet surfaces. Energy weapons cut through shields and armor. The ships that came to stop them were destroyed. 1 by 1, 10 by 10. They were not enough. "We are approaching the mothership," reported. "1 minute until we reach the hangar bays. Angle our approach. We need to hit the gap in the shields when they open the bay doors." The mothership grew larger on the screen. It was so big that it blocked out the stars behind it. Its weapons were firing now. Heavy cannons that could destroy a ship with a single shot. The iron will twisted and turned, dodging most of the fire, but not all of it. The ship shook, alarms sounded. "Shields down to 60%, Bora reported. "Hold course." Another hit, the lights flickered. "Shields down to 40%. "Hold course." The hangar bay was ahead, could see ships flying out of it. Each time they did, the shields opened for just a moment, just long enough. 20 seconds, said. Another hit, the ship groaned. "Shields down to 20%. "Hold course." 10 seconds, a ship flew out of the hangar, the shields opened. "Now," shouted. The iron will fired everything it had, every weapon, every missile, every gun, all of it aimed at that one small gap in the shields. The shots flew through the opening just before it closed. Inside the mothership, destruction bloomed. The weapons hit fuel storage. They hit ammunition supplies. They hit the reactor core. The mothership did not explode all at once. It died slowly from the inside out. Fire spread. Sections collapsed. Smaller explosions led to bigger ones. The fleet froze. Their mothership was dying. Their leaders were dead or dying. Their communications were failing. For a moment, they did not know what to do. That moment was all they needed. All ships called. Phase 3 finished them. The Fang, the Claw, and the Fury turned from defense to attack. They tore into the confused fleet like wolves among sheep. Ships exploded. Ships tried to flee. Ships crashed into each other in the chaos. The mothership finally exploded, a massive ball of fire that lit up the entire sector. When it faded, there was nothing left but dust and debris. The that survived did exactly what it predicted. They ran. They fled into the darkness, scattering in every direction. They did not look back. They did not try to fight. They simply ran. "Victory," Bora said softly. She sounded like she could not believe it. "Not yet," replied. "The survivors, we need to get to the station." The iron will turn toward station. It was damaged but still there, still holding on. Somewhere inside, 43 people were waiting, praying, hopping. Help was here. They had come, and they were not leaving until every last survivor was safe. Looked at his crew. They were tired, some were injured. The ship was battered and barely holding together. But they were alive. They had done the impossible. "Well done," said, "all of you, well done." He allowed himself a small moment of pride. Then he pushed it away. The battle outside was over, but the battle inside the station was just beginning. The survivors needed them. It was time to bring them home. The iron will docked with station through an emergency airlock. The main docking bays were destroyed. The outer walls were filled with holes. The only way in was through a small maintenance port on the station's underside. Led the rescue team himself. He could have sent others. Bora had argued that a captain should stay on his ship, but had made up his mind. Those people had called for help. He had answered. He was going to see this through to the end. The rescue team was made up of 20 soldiers from the Iron Will and 30 warriors from the Allied ships, fighters with their sharp teeth and claws, blue-skinned warriors from the Fury with their 4 arms and natural armor, heavy soldiers from the Claw who could break through walls with their bare hands. It was a frightening group, a powerful group, and they all had the same goal. Find the survivors, get them out, kill any that got in the way. The airlock opened. The smell hit them first. Smoke, blood, death. The air was thin and cold. The life support systems were failing. Whatever had happened here, it had been violent. "Stay close," said. "Watch each other's backs. We do not know if there are still enemies inside." The team moved into the station. The first section they entered was a storage area. Crates were scattered everywhere. Some had been broken open. Their contents were gone. They had already started looting. They found the first bodies in the next corridor. Scientists, workers, people who had been trying to run when the attack came. They had not made it far. Felt his jaw tighten. He had seen death before, too many times, but it never got easier. It should never get easier. "Keep moving," he said quietly. The team pushed deeper into the station. Every section told the same story. Damage, destruction, death. They had torn through this place like a storm. They had killed without mercy, without hesitation, without any sign of humanity. Not that it expected anything different. There were monsters. They saw other species as prey, as resources, as things to be used and thrown away. They had no concept of mercy, no understanding of compassion. That was why they had lost. That was why they would always lose, because species that cared about nothing but themselves could never truly work together, could never truly trust each other. They were strong alone but weak together. Were different, came from worlds that tried to kill them every day. They had learned that survival required cooperation, trust, sacrifice. When a gave their word, they kept it. When a joined a fight, they stayed until the end. That was the real strength of, not their bodies, not their weapons, their bonds. The team reached a large door. It was sealed from the inside. This was the entrance to the lower levels, the place where the survivors were hiding. "Hello," called out. "This is Captain of the Human Defense Fleet. We received your distress signal. We are here to help." Silence, long, heavy silence. Then a voice, soft and afraid. "How do we know you are not?" "The do not knock," replied. "And they do not speak your language. Open the door. We have ships waiting outside. We are going to get you out of here." More silence. Could hear people talking on the other side, arguing, debating. They were scared. Of course they were scared. They had been trapped in darkness for hours, listening to monsters tear their home apart. They did not know if rescue was real or if this was just another trick. "Please," said, "I know you are afraid, but we came a long way to find you. 4 ships, hundreds of soldiers, all for you. We are not leaving without you." The door opened, just a crack at first, then wider. A face appeared, a woman. She was covered in dirt and blood. Her eyes were red from crying, but behind the fear could see something else. Hope. "You really came," she whispered. "We really came," holstered his weapon and held out his hand. "I am Captain. What is your name?" "Doctor, I am. I was the head of the science team." "Doctor, your message reached us. We heard you. Now let us get your people to safety." Nodded, she opened the door all the way. Behind her could see the survivors. They were huddled together in a large storage room. Men, women, children, 43 people who had managed to hide while their station was destroyed around them. They looked terrible, exhausted, terrified. Some were injured, but they were alive. Against all odds, they were alive. The children were the hardest to look at. They were so small, so scared. They clung to their parents like drowning people cling to floating wood. They did not understand what was happening. They just knew that something bad had come, and the adults could not stop it. A little girl, maybe 6 years old, looked up at. She had tears on her face and a stuffed animal in her arms. "Are you going to save us?" she asked. Knelt down so he was at her level. "Yes, I promise. We are going to take you somewhere safe." "The monsters, they were so loud they made the walls shake. Are they gone?" "They are gone. We chased them away. They will not hurt you anymore." The girl studied his face. She was looking for something, some sign that he was telling the truth. After a moment, she seemed to find it. "Okay," she said, "I believe you." Such simple words, such powerful words. This child who had just lived through a nightmare had chosen to trust him, to believe that he would keep her safe, felt the weight of that trust settle on his shoulders. It was heavier than any armor he had ever worn. He stood up. "Everyone, listen to me. We are going to move to the docking bay. Stay together. Stay quiet. The main enemy fleet is destroyed, but there may still be inside the station. My soldiers will protect you. Just follow us and do what we say." The survivors started to organize themselves. The adults gathered the children. The uninjured helped the injured. Despite everything they had been through, they moved with purpose. They had hope now, and hope was a powerful thing. Commander and his warriors took the front. Their senses were sharper than human senses. They could hear and smell things that others could not. If there were enemies ahead, they would know. Human soldiers took the sides. They kept their weapons ready. Their eyes moved constantly, searching for threats. And his heavy warriors took the rear. Nothing would get past them. Nothing could get past them. The group began to move. The journey through the station was slow. The survivors could not move fast. The injured needed help. The children needed encouragement. Every few minutes they had to stop and rest. But they kept going, step by step, section by section, getting closer to safety. They were halfway to the docking bay when held up his hand. Everyone stopped. "What is it?" asked quietly. "I smell something," growled. "Close." Soldiers raised their weapons. The survivors pulled closer together. The air grew thick with tension. Then the attack came. They burst from a side corridor. Warriors, at least 30 of them. They had been hiding, waiting. They screamed as they charged, a sound like metal being torn apart. "Protect the survivors," shouted. The battle was brief but violent. They formed a wall around the civilians. They did not attack. They defended. They let the come to them. They were fierce, they were savage, but they were not. Tore through them with claws and teeth. His warriors fought beside him, a pack of predators protecting their chosen family. Grabbed and broke them with his hands. His massive body absorbed attacks that would have killed anything else. Myra's four-armed warriors were everywhere at once. They blocked and struck, a dance of violence that was almost beautiful. And humans, they held the line. They fired their weapons. They used knives when the guns ran empty. They did not give ground. They did not show fear. They were protecting the innocent, and they would die before they failed. In less than 5 minutes it was over. They were dead, all of them. Their bodies lay scattered across the corridor. Looked at his team. Some were injured, none had fallen, they had held. "Is everyone okay?" he called to the survivors. "Did a quick count. We are all here, no one is hurt." The little girl was still holding her stuffed animal. She was shaking, but she was not crying. She looked at the dead, then she looked at. "You stopped them," she said. "Yes. I knew you would." Such faith, such trust. Did not know what to say, so he just nodded and turned back to the path ahead. "Keep moving, we are almost there." The rest of the journey passed without incident. Maybe there were no more. Maybe they were hiding. Maybe they had seen what happened to their friends and decided that these prey were not worth the trouble. It did not matter. The group reached the docking bay, they reached the ships, they reached safety. As the survivors boarded, the Iron Will stood at the airlock and watched. He counted every face that passed. 43. All 43 survivors, every single one. Was the last to board. She stopped in front of. "Thank you," she said. "I did not think anyone would come. We sent our message, but this sector is so far from everything. I thought we were alone." "You were never alone," replied. "The message went out and we heard it, we came." "Why, you did not know us. You did not owe us anything. Why risk your lives for strangers?" Thought about the question. It was a good question, an important question. Many species in the galaxy would ask the same thing. Why help those who cannot help you? Why risk death for no reward? "Because that is what we do," said finally. "That is what do. We come from worlds that tried to kill us. We survived because we helped each other, because we protected the weak, because we never left anyone behind. When you sent your message, you were not asking strangers for help. You were asking family, and family always comes." His eyes filled with tears. She tried to speak but could not. Instead, she just reached out and took his hand. She squeezed it once. Then she turned and walked onto the ship. Watched her go. Then he looked back at the station. It was broken, damaged, dead, but the people who had lived there were safe. They would survive. They would rebuild. They would continue. That was enough. That was everything. He stepped onto the iron wheel and sealed the airlock behind him. The ship detached from the station and began to pull away. Outside, the Fang, the Claw, and the Fury waited. 4 ships, 4 crews, 1 mission accomplished. The survivors were safe, they were defeated, and the galaxy had learned something important today. When the innocent cried for help, they answered, always. Every single time. The 4 ships formed a protective formation around each other as they moved away from station. The survivors were distributed among them. The iron wheel carried the majority, including all 12 children. The other ships took the rest, spreading the precious cargo so that no single attack could take them all. Stood on the bridge watching the stars through the main, the battle was over. The mothership was dust. The fleet was scattered, but he could not relax, not yet. The journey to safe space was long and the darkness held many dangers. Captain, his voice broke through his thoughts. I am picking up multiple signals on the long-range sensors, ships, a lot of them. His blood went cold. Unknown. They are still too far away to identify, but they are heading in our direction. More enemies. Of course there were more enemies. The universe never made things easy. You fought one battle, one against impossible odds, and the reward was another battle waiting just around the corner. His face appeared on the communication screen. The commander had heard the same news. His golden eyes were narrow with concern. If those are reinforcements, we have a problem, said. Our ships are damaged. Our ammunition is low. We cannot fight another fleet. I know, replied. He turned to Bora. Options. Bora studied the tactical display. We could try to run. Our ships are faster than most vessels, but with our damage, we might not be able to maintain top speed for long. If they catch us, we will be in worse shape than we are now. What about hiding? There is an asteroid field nearby. We could take cover there, but if they find us, we would be trapped. Neither option was good. Run and maybe get caught. Hide and maybe get trapped. Needed a third choice, something better. How long until the unknown ships reach us? He asked. About 2 hours, replied. 2 hours, time to think, time to plan, but also time for the enemy to get closer. Every minute that passed was a minute lost. Made a decision. We run, but not away from them. We run toward the nearest Allied base. If we can get close enough, their patrol ships will see us. They will not attack near an Allied base. That is a 4-hour journey, pointed out. The unknown ships will catch us before we get there. Then we fight as we run. We slow them down. We buy time. Looked at the screen showing his allies. What do you say? One more battle. Bared his teeth in what was definitely a smile. I say that I have not had enough killing today. Let them come. His rumbling voice came through the speakers. The claw is ready. We will crush anyone who threatens the survivors. Myra nodded calmly. The Fury will fight. We did not come this far to fail now. The 4 ships turned and began to accelerate. They flew in a tight formation, their weapons pointed backward, ready to meet any pursuit. The survivors on board felt the shift in movement. They did not know what was happening, but they trusted their rescuers. In the medical bay of the Iron Will, Doctor was helping treat the injured. She had been a scientist, not a doctor, but she knew basic medicine, and there was too much work for the ship's medical team to handle alone. A young soldier lay on the bed in front of her. He had been wounded during the fight inside the station. A blade had cut deep into his arm. The wound was bad but not fatal. He would live. You saved us, said as she bandaged his arm. You and all the others. You came to a place you did not know, fought enemies you had never seen, and risked everything for strangers. The soldier, whose name was, looked up at her. He was young, maybe 25, but his eyes held a weight that made him seem older. "That is what we do," said. "That is what we signed up for." "But why choose this life? You could have stayed safe on your world. You could have had a peaceful life." Was quiet for a moment. He seemed to be thinking about the question seriously. "When I was a boy," he said finally, "there was a flood in my village. The water came fast. Many people were trapped. I remember watching from higher ground as my neighbors struggled. I was scared. I wanted to run. But then I saw the rescue teams arrive. They came from other villages, other cities, people who did not know us. They jumped into the water. They pulled people out. They saved lives. And when it was over, when everyone was safe, they left. They did not ask for rewards. They did not want praise. They just went home, ready to do it again the next time someone needed help." He paused, his eyes distant with memory. "I decided that day that I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be someone who runs toward danger instead of away from it. Someone who helps strangers because it is the right thing to do. So when I was old enough, I joined the fleet. And every time we answer a distress call, every time we save someone who thought they were going to die, I remember those rescue workers. I remember why I am here." Felt tears forming in her eyes. She had spent her life studying the universe, stars, planets, the mathematical beauty of existence, but she had never truly understood people. She had never understood why some beings would sacrifice themselves for others. Now she was beginning to understand. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for choosing this path." Smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. "Thank you for giving us someone to save." On the bridge, the situation was getting worse. The unknown ships were gaining, and now they were close enough to identify. "Confirmed," reported. 15 ships. They must have received a distress signal from the mothership before it was destroyed. 15 ships against 4 damaged warships. The odds were better than before, but still not good. Still very not good. "Time until they catch us?" asked. 40 minutes. "Time until we reach Allied patrol range?" 2 hours. The math did not work. They would have to fight for at least 80 minutes before help could possibly arrive. 80 minutes of combat with damaged ships, low ammunition, and exhausted crews. Opened a channel to all ships. "This is Captain. Enemy ships are closing. We cannot outrun them. We will have to stand and fight. I know you are tired. I know your ships are hurt. But we have 43 lives on board. 43 people who are counting on us. We did not come this far to let them down now." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "When I was young, my grandmother told me a story. She said that in the old days, when humans still lived only on Earth, there were people called lighthouse keepers. Their job was simple. They kept fires burning on the coast so that ships lost in the dark could find their way home. They stayed at their posts through storms and waves and everything the ocean could throw at them, because they knew that somewhere out there, people were depending on that light. Looked at the stars on the... Today, we are lighthouse keepers. We are the light in the darkness. Those survivors behind us are the ships trying to find their way home. And they are the storm. They think they can put out our light. They think they can catch the ships we are protecting. They are wrong. We will burn. We will shine. And we will guide those people to safety no matter what it takes." Silence on the communication channels, then's voice. "A fine speech, human, but speeches do not win battles. Let us show these what happens when you hunt." The 4 ships turned to face their pursuers. They arranged themselves in a battle line. The Fang and the Claw on the flanks, the Fury in the center. The Iron will slightly behind, ready to support wherever needed. The came screaming out of the darkness. Their ships were fresh and undamaged. Their weapons were fully loaded. They thought they were going to have an easy victory. They were wrong. The battle began with missiles, long-range weapons that flew across the void like angry stars. The fired first. Their missiles were fewer, but their aim was perfect. 3 ships exploded before they could even fire back. 12 ships left, still too many. The returned fire. Missiles and energy beams filled the space between the fleets. The ships twisted and dodged. Their pilots were experienced. Their crews were skilled, but they could not avoid everything. The Fury took a hit. Its shields flared and died. The next shot would strike the hull directly. "Fury, pull back," ordered. "Negative," Myra's calm voice responded. "We can still fight." "Your shields are down." "Then we will fight without shields. We do not retreat." The Fury charged forward instead of backward. It flew straight into the formation, firing in all directions. The enemy ships scattered, confused by the suicidal attack. 2 more vessels were destroyed. 10 ships left, but the Fury was burning. Fires spread across its hull. Escape pods began to launch. Myra shouted. "We have done what we can," Myra replied. Her voice was still calm, still peaceful. "Get the survivors to safety. We will hold them as long as possible." The Fury crashed into a ship. Both vessels exploded, a ball of fire that lit up the darkness. When it faded, both ships were gone. 9 ships left, but now there were only 3 vessels. Felt his heart break. Myra and her crew had sacrificed themselves. They had given their lives to save people they had never met, people who would never even know their names. That was what heroes did. "Keep fighting," said. His voice was rough with grief. "Honor their sacrifice, make it mean something." The battle continued. The Fang tore through 2 more ships, was a demon on the communication channels, shouting commands and encouragement to his crew. The Claw crushed another enemy, ship living up to its name. 6 ships left, but they were failing. The Fang's weapons were overheating. The Claw's engines were dying. The Iron Will was running on emergency power. Then shouted, "Captain, new contacts, coming from the direction of the Allied base." Looked at the sensors. Dozens of ships were approaching, fast ships, military ships, and they were flying the flags of a dozen different species. Allied reinforcements. They had heard the distress calls, they had seen the battle, and they were coming to help. They saw them too, and for the first time the hunters became the prey. They tried to run, they tried to scatter, but the Allied fleet was faster, fresher, angrier. In minutes the remaining ships were destroyed. The battle was over, really over this time. Slumped back in his chair, he was exhausted. His ship was barely functional. His allies were damaged and mourning, but the survivors were safe. 43 people would go home. 12 children would grow up, because 4 ships had answered a call for help. Because never left anyone behind. Even when it cost them everything. The Allied fleet escorted the 3 surviving ships to Station Prime. It was the largest space station in the sector, a place of safety, a place of healing, a place where the survivors could finally rest. Stood at the observation window of the Iron Will as the station came into view. It was beautiful. Lights sparkled across its surface like stars brought down to Earth. Ships flew around it in careful patterns. Life moved and breathed in every direction. The survivors were gathered in the main cargo bay, which had been converted into a temporary shelter. Medical teams were on the way. Counselors were ready to help with the trauma. Everything was being prepared to receive them. But before any of that could happen, there was one more thing needed to do. He walked down to the cargo bay. The survivors looked up when he entered, 43 faces. Some were smiling, some were crying, all of them were alive. Stood at the front of the group. She had become their unofficial leader during the ordeal. She had kept them calm in the darkness. She had kept them hopping when hope seemed impossible. Now she stood straight and proud, even though exhaustion pulled at every part of her body. "We are almost there," said. "In a few minutes you will be on Station Prime. You will be safe. You will have food and beds and people to help you. But before we dock, I wanted to say something." He paused, looking at each face in turn. "I want to tell you about the people who saved you, the ones who are no longer here to receive your thanks." The cargo bay went silent. Even the children stopped fidgeting. They knew something important was about to be said. Captain Myra of the Fury gave her life in the final battle. She flew her ship into the enemy to buy us time. She and her crew of 83 souls chose to die so that you could live. They were from a world called a world of ice and darkness where the sun only shines for a few weeks each year. The people there are quiet and calm. They do not show emotion easily. But when it matters, when lives are at stake, they burn brighter than any sun. His hand went to her mouth. Tears rolled down her cheeks. There were others who fell, soldiers from every ship, warriors who stood between you and death. They did not know your names. They did not know your stories. But they died protecting you because that is what they believed was right. Reached into his pocket and pulled out a small data chip. On this chip are the names and faces of everyone who died in this mission. I want you to have it. I want you to remember them, not with grief but with gratitude. They gave you the greatest gift anyone can give. They gave you tomorrow. He handed the chip to. She took it with trembling hands. I do not ask you to mourn forever, continued. I ask you to live fully, live bravely, have families, build new things, discover new wonders, and when the dark days come, as they always do, remember that once when you were lost and afraid, strangers came from across the galaxy to bring you home. Let that memory give you strength. Let it remind you that you are never truly alone. The little girl who had asked if he would save them pushed through the crowd. She walked up to him and looked up with big, serious eyes. Are you going to leave? She asked. Yes, my ship needs repairs. My crew needs rest. We have to go to another station for that. Will you come back? Knelt down so he was at her level. Maybe. The universe is big and there are many people who need help. But even if I do not come back, I want you to know something. You are special. Not because you survived, but because you had the courage to keep hopping. That hope is what brought us to you. Never lose it. The girl nodded. Then she did something unexpected. She threw her arms around and hugged him. It was a tight hug, the kind that children give when they want to hold onto something forever. Hugged her back. He closed his eyes and just for a moment pretended that she was his own daughter. His little girl back on Earth who he had not seen in years, who he might never see again, given the dangers of his job. Thank you for saving me, the girl whispered. Thank you for giving me something worth saving, whispered back. They separated. The girl returned to her parents, stood up and faced the survivors one last time. The docking is complete. Station personnel will guide you from here. Good luck, all of you. He turned and walked out of the cargo bay. He did not look back. He could not look back. If he did, he might not be able to leave. On the bridge, Bora was waiting for him. She had a strange look on her face, something between pride and sadness. That was a good speech, she said. It was not a speech, it was the truth. You seem to say that a lot. Managed a small smile, maybe because it is true a lot. The survivors filed off the ship, watched them through the bridge. Medical teams met them at the dock. Blankets were wrapped around shoulders. Hot drinks were pressed into hands. The process of healing had begun. When the last survivor had left, gave the order to undock. The iron wheel pulled away from Station Prime and began the journey to the repair facility. The Fang and the Claw flew beside them. 3 ships that had been 4. 3 crews that were smaller than before. The communication panel beeped. It was a message from the Galactic Council. Read it aloud to his bridge crew. To the crews of the Iron Will, the Fang, the Claw, and the Fury. The Galactic Council has heard the full report of the events at Station. We have heard how 4 ships answered a distress call that everyone else ignored. We have heard how you fought against impossible odds to save 43 lives. We have heard of the sacrifices made by Captain Myra and her crew. On behalf of the Council and all the species we represent, we thank you. Your actions remind us what true courage looks like. Your sacrifices remind us what true honor means. A memorial will be built at Station to honor those who fell. Their names will be remembered for as long as stars shine in the sky. You have shown the galaxy the best of what sentient beings can be. May your example inspire others to follow." The bridge was silent when finished reading, then spoke quietly. "That is nice, but it does not bring them back." "No," agreed, "it does not." His face appeared on the screen. The commander looked tired. His fur was matted with blood and sweat, but his eyes still burned with that familiar fire. "I heard the Council's message," said. "Pretty words, empty words. The Council did not send ships when the call for help went out. They did not answer. We did." "They are politicians," replied. "Answering calls is not their job." "Then maybe it should be," showed his teeth. "But that is a problem for another day. For now I wanted to say something. Human, you are a warrior. Your crew is made of warriors. I would be honored to fight beside you again." "The honor is mine, Commander." His face appeared next to his. The massive creature looked even more exhausted than his scales were cracked in places. His eyes were heavy. "We fought well together," rumbled. "Different species, different worlds, but one purpose. That is rare, that is precious. We should not let it fade." "What do you suggest?" asked. "A pact, a promise. When any of us sends a call for help, the others answer. No questions, no hesitation. We become family in the way that matters most." Looked at his own crew. They were watching him, waiting for his decision. He saw no doubt in their eyes, no fear, only trust. "Agreed," said. "From this day forward we are bound. When one calls, the others answer, always." "Always," repeated. "Always," agreed. 3 ships, 3 captains, 3 species, 1 family. Days later, the news of what happened at station spread across the galaxy. The story was told in 1,000 different ways. Some versions made it sound like a legend. Some versions made it sound like a miracle. But the core of the story remained the same. When the innocent called for help, answered. They came from worlds that tried to kill them. They came from darkness and danger and death. And they used that strength to protect the weak. The galaxy had many different species. Some were peaceful, some were warlike, some were kind, and some were cruel. But everyone from the mightiest empire to the smallest colony learned the same lesson. Do not harm the innocent. Do not prey on the helpless, because if you do, they will come for you. Not for conquest, not for glory, not for reward. For justice, for family, for each other. On Earth, in a small town by the sea, a woman watched the news report about station. She saw her ex-husband's name among the heroes. She saw his face as he received a medal from the council. And though their marriage had ended years ago, though they had chosen different paths, she felt proud of him. She turned to the little girl sitting beside her, their daughter, the one had thought of when he hugged that survivor on his ship. "Your father is a hero," the woman said. The girl looked at the screen. She saw a tired man with gray at his temples and sad eyes that still knew how to smile. "I know," she said, "he always was." Across the galaxy, at a repair station far from Earth, received a message from home. It was from his daughter, just a few words, but they meant everything. "I saw the news. I am proud of you. Come home soon. I love you." Read the message 100 times. Then he put it away and went back to work. There were repairs to oversee, crew to take care of, and somewhere out there someone else was sending a distress signal. Someone else was hopping for help. The iron will would be ready. The fang would be ready. The claw would be ready. And wherever Captain Myra and her crew had gone, whatever came after death, knew they were ready too. Because that was what did. They answered the call. They protected the innocent. They stood between the darkness and those who feared it. Not because it was easy. Not because it was safe. But because it was right. And as long as there were in the galaxy, the light would never go out. The lighthouse would keep burning, and the lost ships would always find their way home. Always. Every single time.